Okay, so first things first, the best thing you're going to hear today from us, not here, but here in the session, is that you have a chance to win a Google Home Mini.
Yeah, Google Home.
Okay, so here's the deal. We all love IoT. We all love things that create data and make our lives better. If you didn't get a number from the young lady in the Dell EMC hat, please raise your hand and we'll get a number. We'll make sure you got one. All right, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and get started while the numbers are getting handed out. My name is Corey Minton and my friend here is?
Hey, I'm Brett Roberts. Nice to meet you all.
Can you
hear me okay in the back? Good? All right.
Okay. We are engineers for Dell EMC. We're part of the Splunk Ninja team at Dell EMC, which basically means we are, like you, advocates and fans of Splunk, use it ourselves, help customers deploy it successfully at scale. But here's the thing. We like Splunk because, one, it's easy to get data in and it's pretty cool. And we are uber competitive, so we decided that we would go to the mountain, ski a little bit, collect a bunch of data, and decide, using Splunk, who is the king of the mountain.
Yeah, so we worked together a lot. And
Too much.
Yeah, so last winter we were like, you know what, let's go skiing. I'm a better skier than you. No, I'm a better skier. So this went on for weeks and weeks. We finally decided, let's let Splunk do the talking and figure out who the better skier is. Oh yeah, this guy over here. Gravity, right?
So he assumes gravity because I don't know if you know this, I'm bigger than he is. So I would go down the mountain faster. But what we did, we had a few friends, we went skiing. And so we found this app. It's called the Snow app. So we went to Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe's got a bunch of cool mountains. There's Squaw Valley, Heavenly, and others. And each of those mountains, they have their own app. But because we were skiing at multiple mountains, we're like, well, how do we get something that isn't like tied to the mountain? And how do we get an app that we can use our phones, our smart devices, and actually get data out of it? So many of the applications that these organizations build are very proprietary. We found one called Snow, S-N-O-W-W, that would actually allow us to export the GPX files from each of our sessions. So every day what we do is we'd start this app up on our phones. It's using GPS, accelerometers in the phone to do some tracking so we can collect some data. So we took the GPX data from each of our days and we sent them into Splunk. So we have Splunk running on a Dell laptop because you can run it anywhere. And so we started up in it's a little bit dated version. Forgive us for being a little out of date on this. We started it last year. So anyways, we brought the data into Splunk and we started asking some questions. The challenge though is it didn't give us everything we needed.
Yeah, so when we pulled the data in, we started looking at the individual events. We found 4 things. We got a timestamp, every second they created another event. We got longitude, we got latitude, and we got elevation. Some pretty useful data points, but we wanted more, right? We need to figure out other things so that we can figure out who's better, this guy. So Splunk has this really great app in Splunk-based. Everyone loves Splunk-based, everyone uses it. There's a lot of great free things out there. One of the best communities I've seen in the analytics world. This guy, Steven Maresca, built this app called Haversign. And it actually allows you to take a command, this command here, and take longitude and latitude data and turn that into distance through one line, one SPL command, turn it into distance. So now we have elevation, longitude, latitude, distance, and time. So what do you get when you have distance and time? You get speed, right? We want to see who's the fastest. And this is what we did. This was as you can see, our SPL queries got more complex as we went on and on. We use eval commands, transactions, Haversign, stats, all these things and using Splunk to figure out who the better skier was. So
in order to help you make the decision, what we didn't want to do is assume ourselves based on the data that we knew who the better skier was, even though I do know already. What we wanted to do was give you some information and allow you to vote on who is the king of the mountain. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through when we thought about like who would be the best. It's like, okay, well, who skied the longest or who skied the fastest or was the average speed? And so we asked these questions. We're like, okay, how many total runs did each of us do? How much did we do daily? How much distance did we cover? Because, it's kind of important. Average speed, clearly the most important metric, I think. And then top speed. And top speed, you'd think I would win, but we'll see what happens. So we asked these questions, and we're going to provide you the results. And then shortly, we're going to ask you to get out your little mobile devices of your favorite flavor, and you're actually going to help us decide who's the king of the mountain. And we're going to get this ultra embarrassing crown and have to wear it the rest of the day.
And so as Corey says, maybe one of those things, speed, it might be important. We'll let you decide. We'll let you weigh which one of these questions, because again, with Splunk, you can ask any question. These are the ones we wanted to ask. Which question is more important to you? We're going to go through them. We're going to go through the queries, and then we're going to show the results. All right. So this is the result after days and weeks of our rudimentary SPL work. This is what we came up with.
He's really good at SPL. He can spell. It's incredible.
Total runs. First thing we want to ask, just how many runs did we do over this week? Well, that's challenging. When we brought the events in, we realized very quickly that there's no delineation between when a run started and when a run ended. It was just continuous second over second, data being generated. So we actually had to go and look at when the peaks were, because when you were at the top of the mountain, you were at a peak. And we started looking at the actual timestamps for those peaks, and we were able to then calculate all of those.
Here, go back one. I mean, this is me, right? This is him. He gave up. You already knew who the best skier was.
He followed me the entire time. This way, though, side to side, as you'll see. So anyway, so what we did was we found out all those when the run started using the events at the peaks. We then isolated those, and we just did a very simple stats command on elevation. And we found that I had 17 total runs over the 2 days, and Corey had 16 runs. So he slacked a little bit there.
If it weren't for the data, I would say fake news, but that's fine.
Right. So 17 versus 16. That's what we did. Very simple command here. One thing I will say, as we were creating this, two different apps creating events. I brought into two different indexes into Splunk, and then searched two different queries. It's pretty incredible how light this was.
Exactly like now, I'll tell you what. I think I might have forgotten to turn on my app as soon as you did. I think we should throw this number out. Let's move to the next one.
Nah, he's fake news over there. All right, so anyway, plotted our runs. Now, number of runs per day, right? So 17, 16 runs, that's interesting, but maybe somebody did more in one day than the other, or was it more of an average? So we just want to figure out the disbursement of our total runs. So now we had to break it down by days, just adding another command to our SPL query. And what we got was, on the 23rd, I did a lot more than Corey. He was tired that day. He slept for a little bit more. I did a lot more than he did. On the 24th, though, the second day, he outpaced me a little bit.
So if you were there, one of the things that Brett was very persistent about sharing with me was that he had this injury, an ACL
Torn
injury,
ACL.
Torn ACL.
Total tear.
Of which we've never seen any scans or x-rays from the doctor. So I'm going to put that in the category of trash talk.
Chirping. But now you say, we're with our query, right? With our search, we're getting more granular. We're not just asking how many runs total. We're breaking it down by day. We're starting to show trends. He has more endurance than I do. Maybe. All right. So then that's total runs. That's interesting. Let's talk about distance now. How far did we actually go during our event? So you can see now we're starting to get a little bit more complex. We had to use that Haversign app to actually take our longitude and latitude data and turn that into distance. So we did that. We then calculated distance using an eval command, and we showed that I did 20 miles over the 2 days.
Right, no.
Corey did a little bit more, but I will say when you watch him ski, he goes from tree line to tree line, which means he gets more distance. So take that with a grain of salt.
So what that means in reality is Brett actually doesn't understand how to turn, and so he just goes straight down because that's the only thing he knows how to do.
The best way to do it, right? But a little more complex, getting another data point, which as we're asking these questions on who's going to be better, this is more of a deciding factor than maybe total runs.
Yeah.
All right, so total distance, that's great, but let's average it. Again, we want to see, are there any trends? Did Corey do more in one day than the other? So what we saw was per run, again, a little bit more, about 1/10 of a mile more per run. And that does, when you think about it, that does take into account probably going side to side a little bit, maybe falling down and having to
Looking
get back
like
up.
a professional skier, I might add.
But, we're seeing consistencies here, but now we're looking at every run we did, it was a little bit over a mile. That's pretty cool.
The one thing that we did not capture here was the number of times that Brett fell, and then I sprayed snow in his face. But we tried. It was the best we could do.
25 for the record.
All right.
So, again, speed was what we really wanted to figure out. Who was the fastest? And there's two data points that we thought of. average speed, on average, how fast did we go throughout the entire event or entire week of skiing, and then top speed. So the first one we did, average speed. And this was very complex and very challenging to do for a couple reasons. One is, if you fall, you actually generate more speed at times than going just in a straight line. We also found there might be an outlier or two in the data. So we had to go through, plot it, figure out where those outliers were, actually go in and remove a few of them, and then so that way we were consistent. The other interesting part is this app is a British app, so it's all in kilometers. Well, when we start looking at that, we were like,
we only speak freedom units around here.
That's not what we expected. So we had to do something. We had to do an eval command, right, to put that into miles. So more and more complexity. And I'm stalling here because I did 20.95 to his 27.08 average speed. Now, I will say, I wanted to add an additional line here that took inertia, gravity into consideration. I'm not that smart, so I didn't know how to do it, and he wouldn't let me. So,
I'm pretty sure he manipulated data, but in this case, it was for my benefit, so we're good with it.
So 20 miles an hour on average to 27 miles an hour on average. But let's be honest, who cares about the average, right? That's not fun. What's the fastest speed someone went? So, in my opinion, what's the most important data point here is top speed. All right. At one point, who just went all out, decided, I don't care if I fall and break both my legs and tear my other ACL, I'm going to beat him. And if you see, I got 60 miles per hour. It was only for a split second, and then I fell down.
You should have seen the yard sale of stuff flying everywhere when he fell after that, but I won't really detail that.
Corey's 51.42 miles an hour.
51, I'll argue. It was very nice and controlled.
It was very graceful. But we had, again, the biggest challenge with speed, and when we're looking at Splunk, and two amateurs as it pertains to actually writing queries and SPL, we had to figure out, okay, what is our data telling us? Where do we need to actually change a few of the points, or at least abstract some of those outliers to make sure that we're consistent across everything? And that's where we came to.
So let's do this. So if everybody would be so kind as to get out your cell phone and go to the website in your favorite browser, www.splunk/shake. And most of you have probably seen this demo before. It's actually using the HTTP event collector. So when you go to this browser, make sure under the team name on the selections before you get to the app, it's going to ask you for a team name. If you think I should be the winner, which is the correct answer, put Corey, C-O-R-Y. If you think Brett, go back, you missed the slide. If you think Brett should be the winner, then put in the name Brett.
Brett. Everyone over here, yep, Brett.
Pick your favorite state, and then do me a favor, hit go, and then your phone will tell you to shake. And so whichever one of us has our name up here that's shaking the most and shake velocity wins. Why don't you open up box?
So just as you're doing it, just one thing, remember, 60 miles an hour. That's faster than most speed limits in Orlando.
I don't have the clicker. Average speed counts, folks. Average speed and distance.
That's still a school district over there.
All right, open up your
All right, so we're going to put this on. All right. Oh, no.
They can't see it. You got to exit out of PowerPoint real quick. Things are going pretty good, folks. Be real honest with you. All right, so is everybody in and shaking? Everybody's in and shaking? We're going to go with, why is it not loaded? Okay, here we go. We're going to count down from 3, and then
Come on, Brett, shake harder. Shake harder. All you Bretts out there.
Where's the...
Oh, yes, Brett right there.
Oh.
Shake harder.
Oh, shake velocity, total shake.
Oh, look at that.
3, 2, 1. I think Corey wins.
They spelled your name wrong. I don't know if you won or not. Corey is the winner.
It's 1Y. It's 1R.
So, again, we wanted to see who the better skier was. Still, the jury's out there. Corey won. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you for the shakes. We appreciate it.
Now, he has to wear this for the rest of the week. So, here's your crown, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, we do want to leave you with some takeaways here. I will put this on because I did agree to this. I don't know why I agreed to it.
Yeah.
But it's a couple takeaways. So one is, obviously you're here at this conference. Hopefully what you're finding is Splunk is a really interesting tool for exploring data, and you can really do some fun things with it. It doesn't have to be really work related. You can do fun things like you've seen over here, the driving and the ping pong, right? There's fun use cases. But what it does, if you find a use case that's fun, it'll cause you to learn things. And we learned a lot in this in terms of how to deal with data, how to deal with data sets that weren't perfect and didn't have what we needed. We learned how to use Splunk and the tools there to enrich our data. Go ahead and click through it all the way. And so imagine if two nerds from Dell EMC who were doing this kind of as a fun side thing, imagine if you spend time at this conference networking and learning and finding out these interesting, fun, goofy use cases. Imagine what you can do at home when you go back and you go to your job, how you can use Splunk to really change the way you're doing business. And what our ask of you is we think Splunk's pretty rad. If you want to learn more about Splunk on Dell EMC, how do you run it the best way possible on premises, stop by our booth. And if you are an EMC customer, you have EMC storage products like VMAX, VNX, or Isilon, be sure to check out our apps in Splunkbase, where you can actually bring data in very simply from those storage platforms to get a more robust view into your IT operations environment. So with that, I do want to say we were going to give something away. So Natalie is our helper here. You all got a number. Did everybody get a number? Everybody got a number? Okay. All right, so Natalie, the random number one more. So this again is for a Google Home Mini.
Yeah, and while we're doing this, just real quick, we do have a few other sessions. This was a lot of fun. We wanted to play around, just show our passion for Splunk. We do have some other great sessions this week. Later on this afternoon, our own Dell IT is going to be talking about how they use ITSI for their e-commerce site.
Corey, you guys ever heard of Black Friday? It's a real thing, right?
Winter is coming.
Dell.com, I don't know if you know, we sell a lot of stuff on the internet, and we use Splunk as our platform for monitoring and preparing for Black Friday every year, and it's absolutely changed the way our IT organization is able to prepare and support the business. So check that out. And then my session tomorrow is a pretty deep dive into Splunk architecture. So best practices learned over the last 6 years of working with Splunk, with our Dell EMC teams, actually building labs and doing joint validation of infrastructure with Splunk. We're going to walk you through some of those learned best practices on how do you prepare for, even if you're starting small, right, 50, 100 gig per day to 100 terabyte per day kind of sizing. What are the best practices you can glean from our experience and leverage the work that we're doing as a joint partner with Splunk?
Yeah, and then I have a session on Thursday at 11 o'clock, and I'm going to talk about some of the different considerations and deployment methodologies, whether it's on-prem or off-prem or a few other decision points. And what are those considerations that you need to make internally within your own organization to choose that right infrastructure to be successful with Splunk? And then back here at the theater on Thursday afternoon, we're actually going to be showing some of the demos of our apps for Splunk. So
Very cool.
With that being said.
All right, our random number generator is?
38.
38.
Who is 38?
38?
38.
All right.
All right, sir.
Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody being here. Do make sure to check out our sessions.
So
if you have any questions, feel free to come grab us. Thank you all again. Cheers.
Thank you.